now that we have a little background knowledge about multiplying polynomials, let's talk about some special cases that you might see that are often something that may throw people off. So I want to just take a little extra time to talk about those things. So the first one being something like example 1. If I have a polynomial that says squared, like this one does, that really means that it's multiplied times itself. So it's a plus b squared. That also means a plus b times another a plus b. Just like if we were to say 3 squared, that means it's 3 times itself. So now I have to multiply these out just like I did in our previous section. So if you want to choose which way you would like to multiply, I'm going to multiply using the box method. So I have 2 things times 2 things, an a plus a b and an a plus a b. So I'm going to multiply these out. A times a would be an a squared, and b times an a would be an ab, and a times an b would be another ab, and b times b would be b squared. So just like in other sections, we got to combine like terms, which happen to be our diagonals in this one. We need to add those two together. AB plus an AB would be 2 ABs. So now I can write my answer. An AB squared, or an A squared, plus the 2AB that we combined, plus that B squared that didn't go with anyone. So this works if you have numbers, if you have letters. The first one is always going to be the first thing squared. And then our middle term is going to be 2 times whatever our A and B are. And then your last one is going to be that last thing squared. So let's do an example. If you want to pause and try the one below and see what happens, it should end up being like the first example. Now that you've tried that one, let's see how you did. So they had a 5x minus 3 squared. So basically we are doing a 5x minus 3 times another 5x minus 3. So I'm doing 2 things times 2 things, and I'm going to use the box. So the 5x minus 3 times another 5x minus 3. So 5x times a 5x is going to become 25x squared. Then negative 3 times 5x is a negative 15x. Same thing in the bottom left. Negative 3 times 5x is negative 15x. And then our last box, negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. So if I look for my like terms, negative 15x is going to go with negative 15x. And when I add those together, it's going to give me negative 30x. So writing out my like terms, I am going to put my 25x squared first. Then my middle term was negative 30x when I combined everything. And then my positive 9. So now in the next example, we're going to multiply 2 of the same things, but the only difference is one has a subtraction in the middle and one has an addition in the middle. So just like the last one, it's a 2 by 2, so I'm going to do the box method, 2 things times 2 things, an A minus B and an A plus B. So when I multiply these out, A times A is A squared. Negative b times a is a negative ab. A times b is a positive ab. And negative b times positive b is negative b squared. So when I look at this, I have those like terms in the diagonal. And when I put them together, ab plus a negative ab is going to add to be nothing. So they cancel each other out, which means my answer would be a squared minus b squared. So this is a great rule. When you have 2 things that are exactly the same, one being positive, one being negative, that middle part should always cancel out, and it should be the first thing squared minus the second thing squared. So when we try this on the next one, it should happen the same way. So if you want to pause and try the example down below, do so now. Now that you've tried that example, let's make sure you did okay and see what we get. So we had a 2x plus 3 times a 2x minus 3. So when I multiply those out, 2x times 2x gives me a 4x squared. So both of those things squared each other, 2 squared and x squared. And then 3 times 2x is 6x. And 2x times a negative 3 is negative 6x. And then negative 3 times a positive 3 is negative 9. And my like terms are on the diagonal again. So when I put those together, negative 6x plus 6x does become 0. So that what I'm left with is 4x squared minus a 9. So it did happen the same way that those like terms or those middle terms canceled each other out, and it just leaves us with a binomial.